Let's be honest, you've probably closed the tab on a life insurance quote at least 5 times this year. You told yourself it's too expensive, or you're too busy, or you'll do it next month. But here is the cold, hard truth. It's not the monthly premium that's stopping you. It's not the math. It's a psychological glitch called the death blind spot. Your brain is literally hardwired to protect you from the reality of your own mortality. And in doing so, it's leaving your family's future in the line of fire. Let's fix that today.
The United States is one of the most insured nations on Earth, yet millions of us are underinsured or not insured at all. We insure our cars, we insure our $1,200 iPhones, we even insure our $50 Amazon packages. But when it comes to the one thing that matters most, the economic value of our own lives, we freeze. Why? Because talking about life insurance requires you to do something your brain hates, acknowledging that one day you won't be here. Part 1. The Terror Management Theory. In psychology, there is a concept called Terror Management Theory, or TMT. It sounds intense, and it is. TMT suggests that most of human behavior is driven by a fundamental conflict. We have a biological instinct to survive, but we're the only species aware that eventually we won't. To cope with this terror, our brains build massive walls. We live in a state of functional denial. When you see a life insurance ad, your brain doesn't see financial security. It sees a reminder of the one thing it spends 24 hours a day trying to ignore. This is the death blind spot. When you say, "I'll do it later," you aren't being lazy. You are practicing a survival mechanism. But while that mechanism kept our ancestors safe from predators, it is now keeping your spouse and children at risk of financial ruin.
Part 2. The high cost of later. In the U.S., the later tax is real. We live in a society built on credit and mortgages. The average American household carries a mortgage, car loans, and student debt. These are all two-person financial structures. They rely on two incomes, or at the very least, your presence to manage them. If you are a beginner in the world of finance, you might think life insurance is for rich people or older people. That is the biggest lie in the industry. Life insurance is for people who haven't finished building their wealth yet. If you have $10 million in the bank, you might not need insurance. If you have $10,000 in the bank and a mortgage, you need it yesterday. Part 3. Breaking the taboo. We need to shift the perspective. Life insurance isn't a death benefit, it's a life continuity plan. Imagine you are the CEO of a company. That company is your family. You provide the vision, the labor, and the capital. If the CEO suddenly leaves, does the company collapse? Does the house get sold? Do the kids have to change schools? In the U.S., the safety net is largely your responsibility. Social Security for survivors is a start, but it's rarely enough to maintain the life you've worked so hard to build. Part 4. The Practical Why. Let's talk about the practical side of the American market. Right now, fintech has made insurance more accessible than ever. You no longer need to sit with an agent in a dusty office for 3 hours. You can get a quote while waiting for your coffee. The barrier isn't the process anymore, it's the emotion. When you buy life insurance, you are buying the right to never worry about what if again. You are buying the ability to look at your children and know that their college fund is a certainty, not a maybe. You are buying the guarantee that your partner will never be forced to move out of the home you shared because they can't cover the mortgage on one salary.
Consider the dual income trap that defines modern life in cities like Austin, Denver, or Charlotte. Let's look at Elena and David. They are a typical American couple working hard to manage the big three: a mortgage, 2 car payments, and the ever-rising cost of daycare. On paper, they're doing great, but their lifestyle is a finely tuned machine that requires 2 specific gears to turn. If one gear stops, if David or Elena isn't there tomorrow, the machine doesn't just slow down, it breaks. In the U.S., our financial lives are often leveraged on the assumption of health and presence. We don't just lose a person, we lose the primary breadwinner or the chief operating officer of the home. Elena realizes that without insurance, home isn't just a place of memories, it's a debt obligation she can't meet alone. By spending 15 minutes on a fintech app, she secures a policy that acts as a financial surrogate. It ensures that even if one income vanishes, the roof over their children's heads remains a certainty. It turns a fragile 2-income gamble into a fortified family legacy. Part 5, motivational shift. You are a provider. You are a protector. That is your identity. But being a protector doesn't stop when you aren't in the room. True protection is systemic. It's silent. It's a piece of paper in a drawer that says, no matter what happens, I've got you. Think about the relief you feel when you finally finish a difficult task. The weight off your shoulders is massive. The life insurance procrastination creates a low-level background anxiety you might not even realize you have. Every time you see a news story about a tragedy, that blind spot flinches. Closing that blind spot is an act of supreme love. It's saying, my love is bigger than my fear. Part 6, how to start, the beginner's path. If you're in the US, the options can be overwhelming. Term life, whole life, universal. For most beginners, keep it simple. Term life insurance is usually the way to go. It's affordable, it's straightforward, and it covers you during the years when your debts are highest and your children are youngest. It's not an investment, it's a shield. Don't let the sassy ads or the complex jargon scare you. At its core, it's just a contract that says, I pay a little bit every month, and in exchange, my family is guaranteed a lot if the worst happens. You aren't betting on your death, you are hedging against the interruption of your life's work. Part 7, overcoming the psychological hurdle. Tomorrow morning, do the one thing your brain is telling you to avoid. Open a quote tool. Look at the number. You'll probably realize it's cheaper than your Netflix and gym membership combined. The fear you feel when you think about insurance, that's not a warning to stop. It's a signal that you care deeply about your life and the people in it. Use that fear. Turn it into action. Once the policy is active, the fear goes away because you've taken the power back from the unknown. You are in control of your legacy. Don't let a psychological blind spot dictate your family's destiny. You are ready for this. You are doing this for them.
Think about a guy named Mark. Mark is 34, lives in a suburb outside of Atlanta, and just bought his first home with his wife, Sarah. They have a 2-year-old daughter and a golden retriever. Mark is a protector. He installed the best smart locks. He checks the tire pressure on Sarah's car every Sunday, and he's got a high-yield savings account for emergencies. But every time a life insurance letter comes in the mail, Mark throws it in the recycling bin. Why? Because Mark is a high achiever, and acknowledging the death blind spot feels like admitting defeat. To Mark, life insurance isn't a bill, it's a ghost. It's a reminder that his 30-year mortgage is a 30-year commitment that he might not be there to finish. One Saturday, while watching his daughter play in the yard, it finally clicks. He realizes that his protection is incomplete. If he's not there, those smart locks don't matter if Sarah can't pay the property taxes. The emergency fund he worked so hard to build would vanish in just 4 months of mortgage payments. Mark decides to face the ghost. He sits down, opens a tab on his laptop, and realizes that for $35 a month, less than he spends on a single takeout dinner, he can buy a $1 million term policy. The moment he hits submit, the fear doesn't grow, it evaporates. He's no longer hoping his family will be okay, he is ensured they will be. He didn't just buy a death benefit, he bought the right to sit in his backyard and breathe clearly, knowing that the sold sign on his house will never be replaced by a foreclosure sign because of a tragedy he was too afraid to plan for. Mark stopped being afraid of the if and started being proud of the how. If this video helped you understand why you've been holding back, hit that like button. It helps us reach more families. Subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology of your money. And today, I challenge you. Get one quote. Just one. Take the power back. Thanks for watching.